The Jersey Star, and this is my boy once again.
Psycho Ice.
The here and the now of wrestling. Coming off the heels of a major Raw, so we're going to be talking about that. So
let's see. With
kick off with the, I guess we'll start with the opening segment, the debate segment, which I thought was pretty interesting, considering something they haven't really done before. Everyone wound up looking strong. It was a different way to start the show. A lot of laughs there.
R-Truth. Really, at first I was kind of skeptical about Truth's slight face turn, but the way they're doing it, it works without making him look like it's something that works, that without making him look stupid or with their usual stereotypical, well, he's black, he's from the hood, let's make him a rapper and have him come out singing and dancing, or let's make him some type of gangster and now he's out here just being a thug and beating guys up and, that kind of stuff. So to me, it's actually a pretty good look. I like the whole little Jimmy thing. I like the whole, he's all over the place crazy. Wait, we're not talking about that. We're talking about this. On top of that, the funny thing to me is, though, when you're looking at that debate, out of the 6 people in the ring that are going to be in that chamber, the one guy who looked out of place to me wasn't the guy that everybody thought it was. It wasn't. See, everybody will say, well, everybody's going to think I'm naturally going to say, oh, Kofi Kingston was out of place. Kofi actually very much impressed me since the Royal Rumble. The guy who seemed out of place in that whole debate was The Miz.
I can definitely agree with that. I mean, in the past couple of months, The Miz's stock has, let's be honest, it's really fallen.
Stocks went down. His stock with the company has gone down faster than an Asian hooker on a Saturday night. Huh?
Maybe watching.
This is YouTube. But, alright, his stock is plummeting. But, it's just the thing that really, he already was on a slow decline from when he lost the title. And everything, he's kind of been floundering, like a fish out of water. And the incident last week with R-Truth, with the whole, well, he's coming off the top rope, I better do something. Nah, I'm just going to move out the way, kind of helped increase the plummet of his decline. So I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing The Miz in one or two situations. He's either going to go back to being upper mid-card talent, like back in the U.S. title picture, or Intercontinental title picture, or they're going to end up sending him over to SmackDown. Because, that's their superstars, that's the punishment they get. You go to SmackDown. Up and coming stars, your punishment is superstars. So, you'll see Miz. I say after WrestleMania, The Miz will be drafted to SmackDown. I'm sure of it. Because his stock on Monday Night Raw has plummeted, and really he doesn't get the reaction from anybody that he used to in the past. Now, with that being said, Kofi versus Jericho's match kicked off the night with the matches. It was a pretty good match. I kind of wanted to see Kofi go over Jericho, but with Jericho beating Kofi, I can see Jericho being eliminated from the thing by Kofi, right as he's going to win. I want to say my prediction for the final 3 in that Elimination Chamber is going to be Kofi Kingston, CM Punk, and Jericho. Kofi's going to get Jericho eliminated, which will intensify the rivalry between Punk and Kofi. But at the same time, not intensify the rivalry between Punk and Jericho, while at the same time starting to put Kofi Kingston over as that guy to watch in 2012.
Jericho versus Kofi, well, obviously very athletically gifted. We know Jericho is one of the best in the business. I expected a good match. I expected Jericho to win. He just came back. They need to set him up, especially if he's going to be facing Punk at WrestleMania. He's got to be getting some clean wins. So I had no problem with that. Kofi did impress me. However, on the whole edition of Raw as a whole, he's really starting to come up. They're letting him shine. And,
Yeah, because we all know.
I'm not
I know you're a legitimate Kofi Kingston hater because for some reason or whatever you feel he's that guy they just stick in matches like why is he here? Me personally, I like most fans will still blame until Kofi Kingston is recognized as a main eventer Randy Orton for him being stuck in the mid card limbo of we don't know if we want to push you to the top where you can main event pay-per-views just yet, or if we're going to keep you in the tag team division singles area where we just see you make the fans happy, you do the boom, boom, boom thing, everybody goes home. So, and most people will probably know what incident I'm talking about. If not, it was, I believe, the year before last where Kofi was in the rivalry with Legacy. And he kind of botched an RKO, and it didn't look like an RKO. Most people say it came off looking like a diamond cutter, and he was very upset about the way he sold the RKO, called him stupid, and then after that, Kofi Kingston's push that he was getting at the time just stopped. So I think now that the years have gone past, that Kofi's, for a guy who could have easily been like most guys who felt they weren't getting what they deserve, they left, they complained, they stopped doing, they tried to get out of their contracts. Guys like Matt Hardy, guys like MVP, he didn't so much complain, but he felt he was just being misused, so he left. And, it's understandable because you want to be different from all the other guys in the back, but at the same time, you gotta sometimes you're forced into situations where you gotta play a role or be that guy that's like.
Well, to me, I think if that is the case, which we all know it is really, Kofi has more than served his time. So I'm really looking forward to what he can, we can see from him in the future. Hopefully, if he continues what he's been doing the last couple of weeks, even a world title reign wouldn't be out of question.
Yeah, I mean, I won't say just throw the WWE Championship on him just yet. I want to say he's that guy that he's proven himself, but
There's a bunch of guys I would put before him.
Right. There are some guys that kind of proved themselves a little bit earlier or matured faster. Yeah. Dolph Ziggler, the guy on a losing streak since the Royal Rumble. But that's another point for another time. But what I'm saying is Kofi's that guy that I would say if they're going to do the Money in the Bank match at WrestleMania, he's been in I think so far him and Christian are the only guys that have been in the most recently.
Kofi is basically, and I'm sure it's not been that long that you guys can remember this, Kofi is basically the new Shelton Benjamin, is where they put him in matches, especially matches like Money in the Bank, where they can showcase him as, his athleticism, but all at the end, he's not going to win the match. He just makes, the match epic.
Right. Which is what we've seen many a times with Kofi Kingston. And the sad thing about it is he's solid on the mic, although there was the one incident before they made him drop his accent where he was on the DX Survivor Series team, and even Triple H had stopped and said, "Hey, what happened to your accent?" And he had the look on his face like, "That's right, I'm supposed to be Jamaican." So it's I'm recording.
It's one of those things. It's a wait and see, definitely. Next match will be Big Show and Randy Orton match. I think the best part of the match, was actually the ending where Randy Orton fucked up the RKO.
Yeah, let's see. I want to say that was just something random. I'm like, let's see if I was waiting for him to call Big Show stupid and see if he can get Big Show buried again and see what happens with that. So,
I mean, at this point, if he did it to Kofi, let's see what he can do to Big Show.
Yeah, right. Big Show. Big Show's a big guy, and I'm sure even though they use him in the main event picture sparingly, WWE ain't stupid enough to sit there and try to bury the Big Show, because I'm sure he'll make a trip from Connecticut all the way to Orlando, like most guys, and then what? He'll become a megastar. Well, like those guys did with Jeff Hardy. But it's just, it was an all right match. I mean, you can't really expect much. I personally don't like to see those like 7 foot, 450 pound plus guys, even if they're like 6'7" and they're 300-400 pounds. To me, it's not really a wrestling match. You might as well just watch a street fight or something, because the guys have no finesse. You know what you're going to get. If I see Khali or Big Show, I know it's going to be two big trees swinging their branches at each other. And
Big Show's been around for such a long time. He's pretty much done it all. First,
he's the first guy to hold all three major companies' titles. He's the first guy. I mean, I remember there was a time when Big Show, before, I think what it was WCW was paying him, but they weren't paying him. Like, he had money. He was a big guy in the company. But if you notice, he didn't. I learned something a long time. When people get famous, when you see them at the beginning of their career, and then you see them later on down the line, they all look the same. They all get fat. Why do they get fat? Because I'm getting all this money and I don't have to do but a little bit of work. If you look at Big Show, let's see, 1996, Paul White, the Giant. He's 7 feet tall. He's slim. He's going up on a top rope. He's doing diving drop kicks. The guy's doing all kind of stuff, shoulder blocks and everything. He's going to the top rope. You're not going to see a 400 or 500 pound man get on a top rope. Yokozuna could only make it to what, the second rope at the most? You got Big Show climbing up on the top rope, doing drop kicks, doing suplexes. Now, you'll be lucky to see Big Show stand on that bottom rope to even get some type of flying ability. So, I mean,
at this point, WWE, they're just running on the Big Show name. There's not much left in his tank. They're gonna, but they'll run it dry. And I think the best part was, besides the fuck up in the end, was the fact that Daniel Bryan did lay them both out with the world title at the end.
Yes. That lets me know that Daniel Bryan is fully on his way to becoming a full-fledged heel. At first, it was kind of like Michael Cole out there, doing his usual butt kissing. And I'm like, oh, Cole's giving him the praise. All of a sudden, he's a heel. And then once he gets in the ring, Michael Cole, oh, he's a no-good weasel and yada, yada, yada. And what I think is, for Daniel Bryan to actually get over as a full heel, one, you gotta stop letting a commentator who does not wrestle, who had, a couple stupid matches, bury your talent. Because we don't hear the wrestler. All we do is see what they're doing in the ring, unless they're doing a promo.
Right.
All through the match, all we hear is when Cole is calling a match for certain guys, he's just burying the talent. Sure, you're going to praise some of the heels, but now you got a guy that was a face that now he's a heel, and you're still trying to bury the guy as a heel. So, it makes Michael Cole look stupid. Two, it makes the WWE look confused, because it's like, well, we're going to make you a heel, but we're going to make you a heel that another heel doesn't like. And it's like, leave the heel announcer role for guys who've actually been in the ring. If Jerry Lawler was still pulling his tweener heel thing, where he's like, well, JR, that's what you got to do in the match. You've never been in the ring. It makes sense. But to hear a guy like Michael Cole calling guys' names, burying them, they're nothing, they're weak, it's like, well, why am I? And most fans are impressionable, so they're going to look at it and go, well, why am I watching this guy's match? And then you wonder why the ratings plummet during certain matches, because you got an idiot out here who's not hyping the match. He's making the match look bad because he's not putting the guys over. JR was king of putting the guy over, whether you were a heel or a face. Whatever your action was, he put it over. He didn't go, oh, well, Triple H is a no good. can't wrestle, riding Shawn Michaels' coattails. No, he never said that. What he did was he go out there, Triple H do something horrendous. What'd he do?
Well, it's like you said, Cole's one of the biggest problems right now. Instead of letting people make their own opinions, he forces his own opinions upon the audience, which also makes it, if you're a heel world champion, especially like Daniel Bryan, as you said, and you're putting him down over and over, people aren't going to want to tune in to see Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan's not going to get high ratings. You're going to make people think that don't know any better. Daniel Bryan is worth watching.
Right, and that's the thing I'm saying. Like, back in the Attitude Era, when Jim Ross, even, I wouldn't go to Attitude, I'll go back to the Ruthless Aggression era, which started in like 2002, 2003. When guys were healed and they did stuff that the fans didn't like, Jim Ross never went, he's worthless, he's not a good wrestler, this, and this. He only talked about the actions or choices that were shown in the ring and behind the scenes. He never made reference to this guy can't do this guy's weak, this guy's that. He talked about them being a cheater. He talked about them being a heel. He talked about them making the wrong decisions or making decisions that are selfish. But he never downplayed any superstar. He never said Stone Cold Steve Austin is a bum. He never said Stone Cold Steve Austin deserves to be,
That's the difference. You got to let people form their own opinion, or else, really, what's the point? I'll move on to something that basically you and I personally, we've been watching wrestling for a very, very long time. And the next segment to me was very, it touched very close to home because it's something that's been a part of us for so long. You almost feel like, it's part of your family. And the thing about it,
The Undertaker, Shawn
Michaels, Undertaker, Triple H segment. So,
dude,
Shawn Michaels comes out and he wants Triple H to say that he's going to be facing the Undertaker. And basically, what happens is Triple H tells him that he can't do that.
Right.
Shawn Michaels basically says that you sold out. You bought your suit.
Shawn Michaels just ripped into Triple H. And it was like...
It was one of those things that I marked out like a little kid again.
It was a thing that was like, you knew it was a promo, but it felt like a shoot. And it's like, dude, he's like going... I haven't seen Shawn Michaels do that since him and Bret Hart were rivals back in the Attitude Era when he did the whole Sunny Days promo. So to see Shawn Michaels just tear into his best friend, that he's just like, you married that chick and you became one of them, you're a coward, you're afraid, and Triple H is looking at it now from a standpoint of, I'm no longer an active wrestler, I'm looking at it from the standpoint of a businessman. So in the business term, yes, Triple H is right. Undertaker is a brand that is money. It is, you can put Undertaker on the card, Undertaker and anybody else, and you're going to want to see the match because you want to see Undertaker. But he's not
a brand, but he's, as Triple H said, he's the last outlaw. He's one of the last people that we grew up watching.
He's the last standing guy from an era where wrestling was at an all-time high. Everybody else is retired, dead, crippled, or, and some of them are retired, dead, and crippled, and they still show up at wrestling events. Hulk Hogan. But the thing is, you got a guy, Undertaker. Triple H, he ain't wrestling like that no more. Shawn Michaels is retired. Stone Cold, retired. Yeah, we got The Rock, but he's in the same category as Undertaker. He just comes and goes as he pleases, which upsets a lot of the John Cena Yum Rocket suckers, but so what? You got a guy who paved the way for guys like Cena to even exist nowadays, with making movies and making TV appearances and doing commercials and doing all this stuff. The Rock was doing that before John Cena, and Hulk Hogan was doing it before The Rock. Now, The Rock made it more popular because he was more charismatic than Hulk Hogan was. But if it wasn't for The Rock, guys like Cena wouldn't even have. Only time you will hear about John Cena is when you turned on WWE, because he just if Rock didn't do the things he did, guys like Cena wouldn't exist. So when you look at it, you got Undertaker and Rock are like the last two standing. Triple H is wearing a suit. Michaels is retired. Owen Hart's gone. Bret Hart had his career ended, and it's like all you got left is Undertaker. And from a money standpoint, Undertaker is big bucks. From a wrestling standpoint, he's still that guy that's like, if I beat the Undertaker, I'm an automatic name. You know who I am. I'm the guy that put Undertaker down. Whether it's at WrestleMania, whether it's at Survivor Series, whenever you do it, if you beat the Undertaker, you can put that on your list of achievements. That is right up there with winning the WWE Championship, the Royal Rumble, the World Heavyweight Championship. Because you can say, unlike most guys that step in that ring, I beat the dead man. Plain and simple.
But like you said, at this point in his game, the game, Triple H doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to be the one to put the Undertaker down and have that on his resume, because he doesn't need it. And he doesn't want to do it from a bad business standpoint, which I can understand.
I mean, it's understandable. Don't get me wrong, it's very understandable. But at the same time, it's like the streak's not going to end. I'll tell you what. One, the streak is one of those things in wrestling that should remain untouched. It's the same thing for Ric Flair's 16 world titles. It's the same for, everything. Like, honestly, to me, Goldberg's streak should have never been broken. It should have never been broken. And if it was going to be broken, it shouldn't have been by Kevin Nash. But what? People sit there and was like, oh, the streak broke. The streak is something you leave alone. You live and let live. You go on about your day. Leave the streak alone.
I know you as being, Undertaker, your absolute favorite of all time. So basically, if Undertaker was going to go down, he would want to go down swinging. Undertaker is not a guy that you say no to. So, Shawn Michaels demands at the end of the segment, Triple H gives him a yes. He gives him a no, says it right to his face, and then pretty much, as he's walking out, we get another epic Undertaker promo. And I'll let you take this from here, because that's
now, the Undertaker promo. This was something that I saw, and I'm like, I had to sit in awe. Anytime I hear the gong, and I haven't seen Undertaker in a while, I'll tell you, I mark out like a little kid. Why? Because no matter how many times you see it on TV, if you've never seen it in real life, I think WrestleMania 28 may be the last time you'll get to see it. Maybe until, I don't know, they put him in the Hall of Fame. I went to WrestleMania 23 when he faced Batista. I was in the arena when those lights went out, and I assure you, you may think they're just saying it for TV purposes, but when those lights go out in that arena, you get a certain chill up your spine when you hear that gong and you see those druids with the friggin' torches and he's just slowly walking down the ramp. It's an amazing effect. The thing with Undertaker is this mysterious element. He doesn't want to go out looking like, oh, I won, like Triple H said, he won the battle but lost the war. And in my mind, as an Undertaker fan, I was very much upset that Undertaker had to be carted out of WrestleMania as the winner. And Triple H is just like, hold my arm, I got a black eye, and I'm on Monday Night Raw the next night.
I can remember watching it, and I watched it at a local place with a bunch of people, and everyone pretty much felt the same way. When it was over, nobody really felt that Undertaker won. He may have won that match, but the fact that he had to be carried out and Triple H just walked out on his own 2 feet is something that you don't see, especially when it comes to WrestleMania and The Undertaker. So I mean,
yeah, it's crazy. It's like
it's just one of those things, man, that you can't claim. And it's not something Undertaker's going to take lying down. That's pretty much his pride, and he wants to get it back.
right. It's just like I like the whole what's the name, like when they were showing him cutting his hair. He's like, "Give me what's mine," and he's cutting his hair. And he's cutting the hair, and to me, it was just a perfect setup because I'm sure even them. It shows me every now and then the WWE, somebody in creative has a spark of brilliance. I don't know what idiot is over creative, but every now and then somebody gets a good idea. We all knew Undertaker was as bald as a newborn baby back in the summertime. There's no way. The way his head, he had a Stone Cold Steve Austin bald head. It wasn't like a shaved bald head. He was like smooth top Undertaker. Like he looked like Telly Savalas. So they did the thing where he came out with the wig, and then the next week he's doing a promo where he's like cutting the hair with a straight razor. Give me what's mine. Give me what's mine. And to me, it's like that was like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Now we got it like Undertaker's on a deranged path.
This brings me right back to how it was with the last two Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker matches, where he wanted it so much that it cost him his career, but he wanted to go out with pride. Now you can only hope that the Undertaker isn't on the receiving end of the same thing Shawn Michaels was, which was lost at WrestleMania.
I don't see that happening because it's like I said, it's one of those things that's like, to me, if you were going to do that with the streak, then you should have done it years ago. It should have been when he was like, 12-0 at WrestleMania. The only person, honestly, that he's faced that should have ended the streak is either Kane with his new gimmick. I'm not even going to say Shawn Michaels, because Shawn Michaels had nothing to gain from beating Undertaker except for bragging rights. It should have been Kane, or it should have been Randy Orton at WrestleMania 13.
That's when I really feel that it should have been done, to be honest.
Orton should have been the guy that was going to put him out. If he wasn't going to break the streak, if Shawn Michaels couldn't break the streak, and Kane's not going to be the guy that does it, the time I would say Undertaker needs to just ride off into the sunset, I say let him beat Triple H at WrestleMania, and then turn around, have a rematch at Survivor Series, and Triple H just buries The Undertaker, because that's all he really needs, is that final match that says that's the end. And it should end where it begins. Not at WrestleMania, but at Survivor Series. That's where it should end.
And, yeah, I mean, I completely agree. And I don't really want to move to it, but to discuss the next thing, you had the Dolph Ziggler match with the Dolph Ziggler match, my favorite, obviously. But I felt that obviously the match was rushed. But that was okay with me, considering we had just come off an epic segment. R-Truth got the win, not really a big deal at this point. Everyone's going into the chamber, so these are kind of, bullshit matches. Whoever wins is just for our enjoyment. So
right.
Nothing really to discuss there. Truth gets the win. He actually needed to win. He hasn't been winning too much, since he came back. So it's not such a bad thing. Truth is a solid talent. Eventually, hopefully he'll get to hold some kind of title. I know Vince is a little racist, but we'll see what happens.
I don't think it's Vince's fault. He let The Rock hold the title, and The Rock was the champ a couple times. So I don't think it's Vince's fault. What I do think is, I think everybody blames Vince McMahon because we know he's the CEO, and we know that's the guy that in the end can override a call. And so naturally people blame Vince. But a lot of times Vince isn't there, so there are other people who are in positions that Vince isn't around. There's nobody over me at my position, so I'll do what I want to do. And if you got a problem with it, then we're gonna make you job out, or we're gonna make you you're gonna just be not on the card. So I look at guys like the bookers, whoever they have back there booking matches, total idiots sometimes, which I believe is Doc Hendricks or Michael Freebird Hayes or whatever the guy's calling himself, whatever it is. Sometimes he's an idiot, and I don't know who does the booking on Monday Night Raw. But apparently they close their eyes and spin the Raw roulette wheel 2 times, and whoever matches up is who's going to be in the match.
Now, the match itself, it was a good match, but really, given more time, those 2 guys really could have put on something good. But, you know, like I said, the Chamber, they're both going to be in it, so we'll see what happens with that. I can only hope Ziggler gets a nice spot for WrestleMania, you know, as the heel, man. But you got the women's match after that. Normally, I wouldn't talk about it.
But Tamina, good
Lord,
Tamina.
A lot better than the things she's had as of late. So it could be a lot worse. At least it's somebody that's in her
league. Even though we should have had Karma versus Beth Phoenix, and we definitely should have had Karma. Should have had Karma versus Gail Kim. But since WWE wants to, no, divas, we don't want you to beat each other up for real. We want you to just go out there and slap each other a few times and then hit a finisher and pin. So,
I mean, that's that. But moving on to the real story here is what happened next. At the beginning of the show, basically, John Cena and Zack Ryder, you know, has him hiding in the back, hiding from Kane, and next thing you know, comes up Kane tries to, you know, take Eve away in the ambulance. John Cena comes in, saves Eve. Real story is, jumps into John Cena's arms. They both kiss. Who's there to see it? But it's Zack Ryder.
Dude, and the thing is, not only has he been injured trying to protect her 100 times, the guy's in the freaking brace in a wheelchair trying to protect her. Then turns around and his best friend is the guy. He comes wheeling himself in. And what? And then even in all that, even after turning against Cena, Kane comes out and takes the guy and throws him off the stage in a wheelchair. But the thing that really sucked the most, and I think Zack Ryder, and from a standpoint, like, even if it wasn't a storyline, you know, from a standpoint of somebody, as a guy, the one thing you hate to do is try to defend a chick because you really like her, and when you finally decide to say something, and you tell your friend, like, oh, I'm finally going to go and say something to her, you come in and she's in his arms, and, you know, you done got beat up, choke slam, thrown off stages, back broken, tombstoned, beat to death, for what? Nothing. So,
I mean, Ryder slapped Cena, only to go up the stage, as you said, get fucking tossed off the stage by Kane in a wheelchair. I mean, it doesn't get much worse than that. If I was him, I'd stay the hell away from Cena. That's all I can say about that, man.
I see a heel turn coming for Zack Ryder.
It can only hope, because that, you know, that's what actually made me like him to begin with. He was on ECW putting on classic matches with Christian, which not too, you know, many people remember. That's why I started liking Zack Ryder. He showed as a heel, even with this gimmick, he really, you know, there's something special about that. So I wouldn't mind him going back to being a heel.
I think he just needs to tweak his characters just a little bit, so he's a little more serious. And then I think that'll really push him in that direction where the fans can take him serious and not just some guy going out there who looks like Robbie E.
Wait a minute. I mean, all I can say is I like the story. I like where it's going. I've enjoyed it so far, and I really can't wait. It's one of those things that I can't wait to see the next twist in the story. Either Cena's going to turn heel, Ryder's going to turn heel. In the end, somebody's going to turn heel. Hell, it may be Edie, but we'll have to see about that. They
She's a
had
whore.
last match. Well, the whore. Now that's what I call it. You know, broskies before hoskies. Remember that, people.
But I mean, in the end, dude, Monday Night Raw was solid. It came on good. It went off good. And
Punk Miz match, which was another
the
throwaway
Punk and Miz match, I mean, it was just a throwaway. You know, CM Punk was going to win. Miz is in the doghouse right now, so I don't see him really doing anything anytime soon. Like I said, he'll probably get traded to SmackDown during the draft, and we'll see him flounder away. While guys like, now I'm gonna show you, this WWE does this every year. Once a person becomes a star and they're over, whether they're a heel or a face, they always end up on Monday Night Raw if they've been on SmackDown. If Daniel Bryan gets all the way over, because like when his music hits, they're booing him before he hits the stage.
Right.
So he's over as a heel.
The Miz, to me, is a guy that he had a lot of potential. He came a long way from nothing, but I believe, to me, I really think in a lot of ways he's been exposed, and in a lot of ways he's hit his ceiling, as it will, you know, in terms of his ability. And I think now that they use him up, they're done with him.
Yeah, he's going to SmackDown to be the U.S. champion again, and that's where his career will stay.
Honestly, I feel like a lot of it now is also on him because he's not performing at a level that this man just won WrestleMania last year and main evented. He's really not trying, and for whatever reason, I believe at this point he deserves whatever he gets.
Right. So
that was the Raw review. And we'll be doing more of these. We'll be doing them weekly. We're going to be doing a special one covering Against All Odds because that was actually quite the pay-per-view. You know, some excellent matches. So we'll be going over that. Yeah. Surprisingly, he's going to be watching it TNA again after that. Remember, people never say never. I'm Jersey Star.
I'm Shin Psycho Ice. Find me on Twitter. Follow me. I would say like me on Facebook, but I think that's copyrighted by the WWE. Not to mention the fact I don't have a fan page. I had to add you as a friend, so I don't want that.
Oh, I'm suing.
All right, people. See you later.